Tupac died, and then there was the fight between who was the top rapper now. Carter.
Jay. Okay. That's why it's Rock Nation.
Jaguar Wright has been warning us for years about how corrupt and evil the music industry is.
I was in a metal band. I was leading worship for the devil for years from the ages of 12 to about 18.
With all the recent allegations coming out about Diddy, it proves to be true. But there is one person she claims is even worse than him.
Sean Carter is worse.
Oh, man.
He's smarter. He's patient.
According to her, Jay-Z has no morals, and he gets to abuse his powers the way he wants.
Like, why has Jay-Z been coming up with you lately?
Because he's a monster.
While some people think Jay-Z is so great and can't do no wrong, there appears to be a lot going on behind the scenes.
The fight between who was the top rapper now, Nas and Jay-Z, and then the next thing you know, Nas has a nervous breakdown and he's taken out of the game and insults.
Back in 2016, a blind item surfaced of a witness stating that right after Aaliyah's death, some record producers were looking for a different young woman who would take her place in more ways than one. The same witness said that when Aaliyah was still a minor, she was sexually abused by many producers. She was allegedly treated as a piece of meat to be brought and sold by big shots in the industry.
The dancer said on the back of a tour bus she saw, quote, Robert and Aaliyah in a sexual situation, saying Kelly appeared to be performing oral sex on Aaliyah. At the time, Aaliyah would have been around 13 years old.
That was the case until she died in a plane crash.
I have to honestly say that everything is worth it. The hard work, the times when you're tired, the times when you're a bit sad. In the end, it's all worth it.
A few years after her death, a huge record producer started making some calls. He had an aspiring singer who was working at his studio. She was 15 and wanted to become famous. So, a lot of label heads started scouting her. When they saw her looks and heard her voice, they wanted her even more. Soon, she slept with one of the producers, the one who made the first calls. Then, she was sold to a celebrity, sibling pseudo-porn star. He loves to be in control, the witness said, especially when dealing with vulnerable women. It is just what he is good at. He did control her career and brought her to another mogul who would sign her a deal, and he too wanted to sample the new talent. So, he sampled her regularly. But there was one problem. This mogul was involved with another celebrity, an A-plus list singer who was constantly criticizing him about what he was doing. This could allegedly be Beyonce. To think that everyone laughed at Jaguar and was saying she was jealous and crazy because she didn't get the success she wanted. Now, people believe that she has been telling us the truth this whole time, but we didn't want to see it. These allegations seem to be related to Diddy, and even though Jay-Z and Diddy seem to be close, Jay-Z has said nothing about it. That's because, according to Jaguar, Jay-Z is a bigger monster than Diddy. He allegedly slept with a minor who was signed to his label. But when Beyonce heard about it, he shut down her career immediately. But there is more. Word on the street is that there is more women like that minor who got abused in the industry, and it is worse than you think.
Her B. Leave her be. Cause I'm not gonna stop coming.
Diddy and Jay-Z have a lot in common. Cassie, who dated Diddy from 2007 to 2018, had a lot to say about that. She made headlines when she filed a lawsuit against Diddy that included abuse, allegations of rape, and trafficking while they were together. Then, a day later, both parties reached a private settlement. And it seems that Jay-Z is up next, because Jaguar is willing to spill everything. But we will get to that in a minute. First, we need to talk about this blind item that's all the rage right now on all social media platforms. It's about singer Tierra Mari, who was signed by Jay-Z when she was just 16 years old. Back in 2005, Tierra Mari hit the limelight with her breakout Rockefeller track, Make Her Feel Good. Just as Rihanna was kicking off her journey to stardom, she dropped her second single, No Daddy, from her debut album, and she was never heard from since. Meanwhile, Rihanna became a superstar. L.A. Reid was the one who discovered Tiara. He later admitted that he thought Tiara would have been a bigger star than Rihanna. Jay-Z introduced him to Rihanna, who was 17 at the time. Reed admitted that he was struck by her beauty, but he had no clue she could sing. Then, he saw commitment and determination in her eyes, and he knew, right there and then, that she was going to become a celebrity one day. Reed said, "At the label, we thought Tiara Mari would be the big star. We spent more time on her, did more work on her, paid more attention to her. Rihanna already had a hit with Pon de Replay, but we still thought it was the other girl." But then, something else happened that he didn't expect. Beyonce came up to him and said, "That Rihanna girl, she's a beast." And that was it. The rest was history. When Tiara turned 20, she decided to set the record straight. She told Wrap Up TV how she felt after she was left out in the cold by Jay-Z and what she thought about Rihanna's success. But apparently, there is something more. According to this blind item, Beyonce interfered with Tiara and chose Rihanna because she found out that Jay-Z hooked up with Tiara. The same blind item also accuses Reed of sleeping with Tiara. The second he discovered her, he invited her to his bed. Remember, Reed is 31 years older than her. Allegedly, the teenager was then sold to Ray J, who was in the middle of it all. They were all allegedly scouting, controlling, and manipulating young vulnerable women who wanted to become singers. Allegedly, Ray J is the one who brought Tiara to Jay-Z, and Tiara was off to a good start. People were calling her the Princess of the Rock. She made her way onto the charts with Make Her Feel Good, the lead single from her debut album, Rockefeller, Def Jam hit the number 35 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 9 on the R&B charts. BET couldn't get enough of it, but MTV not so much. Then came No Daddy, the second single with a music video which was a commercial success on MTV. It spent 16 days on Total Request Live, peaking at number 4. But then something else happened. Tiara and Ray J started dating in 2006. Now, here's where things get interesting. Jay-Z decided to drop Tiara from his label around that time. Tiara said that after they dropped her, she never heard from Jay-Z again. During the interview, Tiara said that Jay-Z presented himself as a father figure to her.
Definitely a mentor. He was like a father figure. He was a great guy.
And then, he just decided to cut her off without calling her himself and letting her know why he did that. Well, according to the blind item, Jay-Z blackballed her career because he hooked up with Tiara and Beyonce found out. Ray J too wanted Tiara for himself, so now that the secret was exposed, she was out. But Ray J wasn't done yet. He blacklisted Tiara, so she would never find success in the industry ever again. Here's what the blind item said. The word put out on the street, no record deals for her from any label. When someone ignored the edict, they were paid a visit. If the visits were ignored, then other steps were taken. This was a total lockdown of a career that lasted almost a decade. When they took everything from her, Tiara struggled with substance abuse. She spent a lot of time in rehab to get herself back on track. Fans believe that many singers who've been in the industry develop this kind of problem. She started working there at a very young age, which made it difficult for her to make the right choices. Rumor has it that Tiara was not the only one Jay-Z groomed. Other young and beautiful women went through the exact same thing. Foxy Brown was allegedly one of them.
Foxy Brown was Jay-Z when she was 15 and he was 27.
Yeah, that's right. Jay-Z was allegedly hooking up with Foxy when she was just a teenager. But it gets even worse. After allegedly grooming her and getting what he wanted, he abandoned Foxy. Foxy was featured on many tracks by major artists back in the day, though perhaps no one greater than her frequent co-writer, Jay-Z. Their first huge hit, Ain't No Nigga, became a soundtrack for the Eddie Murphy movie, The Nutty Professor. She became an instant sensation after that and achieved mainstream success. But what's really suspicious is how Foxy just disappeared from the spotlight. Well, allegedly, what happened to this young star started with Jay-Z. Rumors were spreading like wildfire that Jay-Z took Foxy's virginity while she was still in high school. He funded all her shopping trips and paid for whatever she needed. When Damon Dash was asked to confirm any of this, he refused to talk about it.
Seems like you got a question for Jay. Ask him. Don't ask me his questions, bro. I'm not taking it.
I'm not just, okay.
Y'all could keep asking me questions.
We're moving on.
Y'all keep asking me questions y'all want to ask him because he ain't here.
And, as most people already know, Jay-Z met Beyonce when she was 16 and he was 28. According to Jaguar Wright, Beyonce is in one of the most expensive prisons ever.
I made a good choice.
If Beyonce is in prison, she's in one of the most expensive prisons ever.
Yes, she is.
She said that Jay-Z watches her like a hawk around the clock. He has so much power over her that he exerts his influence in every shape and form. She's not allowed to make her own choices. Her fans believe that she is living the life. She has everything she has ever wanted, but that couldn't be further from the truth. According to Jaguar, Jay-Z tells her what to say, how to act, what to drink and eat, what to wear, everything to stay in control.
She is told what to say, she is told what to eat, she is told what to drink, she is told what to wear.
It seems plausible that the two might be having an unhealthy relationship, considering all the cheating rumors and gossip. But it is also very likely that Jay-Z may hold a huge influence over Beyonce because they got together when she was just a teenager and he was a lot older. Well, the eyes are a window to the soul, and when some people look at Beyonce's eyes, they say they can see the unhappiness. We can only imagine what she had to go through to become who she is today. She has been in the industry since she was a child. In 1990, when she was 9, Beyonce had a successful audition to become the lead singer for Girls' Time. 2 years later, she was on national television on Star Search. The music group, which also included Kelly Rowland, Tamar Davis, Nikki Taylor, Latavia Roberson, and Nina Taylor, did not win. But the girls were determined to work harder and get better. In 1995, Girls' Time got their first contract with Silent Partner Productions, Elektra. Most of them were 14 years old. In 1996, Columbia Records signed Girls' Time and renamed them Destiny's Child. Allegedly, Beyonce was supposed to be shared, like Jaguar, like they did with all the other young women they scouted back in the day. But Jay-Z wanted her all to himself, and if there is something that he can't control or get his way, he will get rid of it. As simple as that. But there is more. Jaguar also exposed some dark secrets about Aaliyah's death.
By the way, wasn't this all around the time when Aaliyah died?
Yeah.
In 2001, she died in the plane crash when she was 22 years old. Aaliyah was at the height of her career. Every boy wanted her, and every girl wanted to be her. Other than her music and acting gigs, she was working on a Japanese-inspired clothing line. She and Kadada Jones became business partners. At the time of her death, Aaliyah and Jones were developing a clothing line they called Dolly Pop. Together, they made plans for how the clothes were going to look like. The idea was for them to be cute and girly. Aaliyah had an impeccable sense of style. So, a business venture like this would have been the perfect opportunity for the long haul. Obviously, she had a lot to look forward to, plans that would make her serious money. But even though she was famous, she liked to keep her love life private. Well, except for her now very famous illegal marriage to R. Kelly when she was just 15 years old. Damon Dash also dated Aaliyah, and he decided to spill the beans about what was really going on behind the scenes. Aaliyah didn't openly discuss her relationship with R. Kelly to the public at first. In fact, she went to great lengths to deny it.
Is it possible at all to have a relationship on the road? I would say it's possible. I just don't have one. I don't have one right now. I don't have a boyfriend.
But the record executive stated that the couple were together from 2000 until her death. They even talked about getting married. But the reason was not love, it was something else. For over 2 decades, R. Kelly was facing allegations of sexual abuse. The reports went back to the very beginning of his career in the 90s. He was accused of pursuing teenage girls.
Do you still sit here and say you have never been with underage girls? Can you really say that?
I sit here and say this.
R. Kelly was sleeping with Aaliyah when she was just a minor and got her pregnant. This was why they needed a marriage license for her to get an abortion and for R. Kelly to avoid going to jail over the underage relationship. Aaliyah did get an abortion and never had the baby. Her parents annulled the marriage in 1995. Speaking about it would have ruined both R. Kelly's and Aaliyah's careers. So, it was kind of like a vow of secrecy on both ends that they moved past that. Because nothing was tying her down, Aaliyah could have spoken up about it at any time and put R. Kelly in prison as a Jane Doe, but she didn't. What also shook the public was the fling between Jay-Z and Aaliyah. Allegedly, Jay-Z tried really hard to win her over, and as you already know, he has been married to Beyonce since 2008 and was rumored to have dated the global superstar since the 90s. Dash said that everyone was trying to get Aaliyah, but no one tried as hard as Jay-Z did. Then came another version of the story. Dame went behind Jay-Z's back and hollered at Aaliyah. This version came from another producer, Choke No Joke, who worked at Rockefeller Records. According to Dash, what Jay-Z and Aaliyah had was nothing serious. He said, it was just a situation where Aaliyah was the type of girl that would give you a shot. She didn't care what people thought or whatever, so she'll date you and be your friend. He also added, you might end up in the friend zone. A lot of times, that's what happened. You weren't just going to hit that.
But then years later, they tried to do the tour.
The best.
Yeah, but it still didn't work out. But you notice I wasn't a part of any of that, and the karma happens. But the thing I didn't understand is I was like, I know I'm not with that. And because of the moral challenge and him choosing one way. I knew morally.
By the looks of it, that's where Jay-Z ended up, in the friend zone. At every industry event she went to, Aaliyah would obviously show him that she wasn't interested in him like that. She liked Dame Dash better than him. Jaguar said she even loved him. So, Jay allegedly decided that Beyonce should take her place. Beyonce was Plan B when Plan A didn't work. Around this exact same period, Jay-Z and Dame got into a feud. It started in the 2000s with the dissolution of Rockefeller Records. Dash talked about it in an interview with The Art of Dialogue and said he felt completely betrayed. Yeah, all that, but we were friends. Like, how would you feel if your brother just betrayed you for money? Would it hurt? Dash said that he never saw it coming. The two never argued or anything, and he just came right at him. That's when Dash realized that Jay-Z was a very cold person. In 2022, R. Kelly got locked up for being found guilty of 8 counts of sex trafficking and 1 of racketeering. A couple of months later, he was convicted of child sexual abuse in another federal trial in Chicago. His crew enabled him to be a predator for so long, and he got away with it because he was making most of the money and was constantly making hits. When all of this blew in his face, Jay-Z's PR team allegedly did everything in their power to cover his tracks, especially about the two of them being friends. But people who saw all of it happen right before their eyes, like Jaguar Wright, decided to go public.
You know, they made all of those records together. They both fucked Aaliyah. They shared so much in common.
On August 25th, 2001, Aaliyah passed away in a tragic plane crash.
Wasn't this all around the time when Aaliyah died?
Yeah.
And Beyonce's solo career was struggling? Jam on your horn now, that fucking bullshit ass record. From the Austin Powers shit, it was some of the worst shit ever.
Jaguar said that the industry had a hard time taking Beyonce solo, and then Aaliyah passed away, and then Rich Harrison came into the picture, and Beyonce's career got a complete overhaul. Beyonce allegedly liked to pose with him in pictures for Page 6, and Aaliyah didn't. Instead, Aaliyah fell in love with Dame. Dame Dash loved Aaliyah. While he was heartbroken and still in mourning, Jay swooped up Beyonce, and the money started rolling in. That year, Beyonce and Jay-Z made their relationship public, and soon after that, R. Kelly and Jay-Z released Best of Both Worlds, their joint album. Jaguar said, "Could this really be called a conspiracy when the exact same person keeps getting exactly what they want and how they want it, no matter the cost, over and over again?" Since then, there have been a couple of questions as to why the plane Aaliyah boarded was even allowed to take flight in the first place. Aaliyah's entourage and the pilot argued about the plane being too overloaded. Bahamian authorities later confirmed that the plane was indeed overweight with fuel, baggage, and passengers. Preliminary calculations after the crash showed that the plane was out of balance, particularly in the tail area. Here's what the National Transportation Safety Board report said. The total weight of the luggage, fuel on board at the time of the accident, plus the weight of the passengers, showed that the total gross weight of the plane was substantially exceeded. Since it was hundreds of pounds overweight, the plane was difficult to control once it got into the air. In 2002, a toxicology report found that the rookie pilot also had alcohol and cocaine in his system. According to music journalist and author Kathy Ann Doley, this doesn't add up. Why would Aaliyah even get on this small plane, jam-packed with luggage, when she is known to be an anxious flyer, especially when there was a chartered plane scheduled to fetch her the next day? It just didn't make any sense. Ian Doley found what she thinks is the last piece of the puzzle while working on her book, Baby Girl, better known as Aaliyah. It finally gave her the closure she needed. The truth came from Abaco Islands resident Kingsley Russell, whose family managed a taxi and hospitality business there. After Kobe Bryant's death in February 2020, Russell posted a now-deleted YouTube video. He explained how the helicopter crash brought back memories. It reminded him of the day Aaliyah was brought onto the fatal flight, unconscious due to a pill someone from her team had given her while she was asleep, and minutes before that happened, Aaliyah didn't want to board it. Later, he heard the plane crashing into the ground. That sound was something he would never forget. Russell's story shocked Ian Doley to her core. For years, she couldn't fathom the thought that Aaliyah would willingly risk her life and her team's safety just to return to Miami that Saturday evening. In an interview, she said, "I remember when Aaliyah passed away, I was really upset. The story kept saying that she was adamant about getting on the plane. I was almost upset with her. Why did you want to get on that plane so badly?" I remember wrestling with this, being like, well, she wanted to go back to Dame and Dash. She wanted to be with her team, and who wouldn't want their stuff with them? But when she learned that they took her by force, she finally got her closure. It was a bad thing to hear that, but she needed to know the truth. Well, Ian Doley couldn't have done this herself. She said that Aaliyah's superfans helped track Russell down. It was with their help that she got to this important piece of evidence. Sandy, a fan from the UK, runs a famous page, Aaliyah Archives. Sandy was the one who found the YouTube video and sent it over to Iandoli. Sandy urged Iandoli to reach out to Russell and get to the bottom of it. Iandoli slid into Russell's DMs. She told him that she was working on a book about Aaliyah's life and asked if she was interested in helping her a bit. Russell told Iandoli that a bunch of other people asked him about the same thing, but he refused to talk about it. He was, however, interested in talking to Iandoli because Aaliyah had told him during that fateful day, she said, "If you want to do anything, be an author." So, he felt like it was destiny that Iandoli came when she did. So, he decided to share the story that he had long since decided to keep to himself. In 2001, Russell was 13 when he ended up in Aaliyah's circle. He was working as their team's baggage carrier. His aunt, Annie Russell, had secured him that job. She was the one who handled the scouting locations and transportation for filming. Annie did in fact give a testimony in 2003 at the coroner's inquest. She stated that she was worried the team was taking too much equipment with them on board that plane. Kingsley's mom was Aaliyah's chauffeur while she was staying on the island. This gave Russell the chance to talk with her on the way to the airport. The plane was 2 hours late, and when it did arrive, Aaliyah got even more frustrated when she saw it was a small plane, so she didn't want to board it. Meanwhile, the pilot insisted that the plane would be overloaded with 8 passengers, all that video equipment, luggage, and Aaliyah's 300-pound bodyguard. It was just too much. Aaliyah pushed back against her team and went into a taxi van. She said she had a headache and needed a quick nap. Her crew then turned to the pilot and tried to convince him to fly with everything on board that plane. Russell then saw one of Aaliyah's crew members going back to check on her. This is when she retaliated and said she wouldn't get on the plane and complained her head hurt. At that moment, Russell said he saw that team member give Aaliyah the pill. The singer took it and soon fell into a deep sleep. She was still asleep when the pilot agreed to fly the plane. He said they took her out of the van. She didn't even know she was getting boarded on a plane. She went on the airplane asleep. The book notes that when they found Aaliyah's body about 20 feet from the crash site, she remained buckled into her seat. She was slouched to the side with her 5'7" body bent over. According to the autopsy report, it was very unlikely that she could have survived. She suffered serious head trauma and extensive burns. When Iandoli found out about the pill, she had mixed feelings. She said she didn't know if she should include that tiny detail in the book, but in the end, she decided it fit into this story that I think debunked something that we have been believing for all this time. The writer then added, she deserved better. Of course, there was no actual evidence that Jay-Z or anyone in the industry was involved in Aaliyah's death, but we do know that Jay-Z was envious of her success and super jealous. Jay immediately used this to his advantage and became the king of the industry after the throne was left vacant. R. Kelly even made his best-selling piece in 2003, Chocolate Factory, right after her death. But could there be something else, a darker truth? Some theorists believe that the singer's death was some sort of Illuminati ritual. Notice how Aaliyah, Michael Jackson, Static Major, and Left Eye all died on the 25th of the month. Aaliyah, August 25th, 2001. Michael Jackson, June 25th, 2009. Static Major, February 25th, 2008. Left Eye, April 25th, 2002. According to some, this date symbolizes an occult moon cycle tied to witchcraft. There is common speculation that repetitive song chants, especially in ghost-written songs, are linked with spellcasting and can exert influence over people's minds. If anything, this conspiracy shows just how deep this entire rabbit hole goes. They believe Aaliyah's mysterious death had something to do with Beyoncé's solo success. Supposedly, Aaliyah acted as a blood sacrifice for the organization. The organization carries out these ceremonies as a show of loyalty. What we do know is the music industry has been evil for a very long time. They use our own people to destroy us. The second these artists gain any kind of leverage or monetary control, they die, all of a sudden. So they are unable to free themselves from their initial record contracts. Jaguar has been trying to warn us for a minute now, and her truth is finally being heard. Many people are starting to believe her and say that what Jay-Z allegedly did to Tierra Mari, Aaliyah, and Beyoncé is terrible. And with people like R. Kelly, he was able to cover all this stuff up so he could keep his throne.